Well, Robert doesn't see them as rules, really. He sees them as principles. So, are you envisioning like a version where I play both of them?
What do you know about two certified bankers? PhantasmaCast.
Welcome back to PhantasmaCast, where we watch our favorite movies two at a time.
And you should too.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Derek.
Derek, what are your favorite movies about movies?
I'm going to start with some more recent ones.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not really about it, it's just kind of about
A time and a place.
of movie making, really. The Disaster Artist.
Okay. I forgot about The Disaster
I know.
Artist.
When it came out, it was very funny. It was still a big moment, despite things that have occurred since, you know? Ooh, The Fabelmans is another one.
The Fabelmans was a movie that you had tried to get me to watch for literally years.
Yeah.
And I was too scared to.
Scared.
I was scared to watch The Fabelmans because I had, like, I don't want to say I had a similar experience to Spielberg, because obviously he was probably way more passionate about it than I was.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. There can't be two.
Yeah. But like, I did make like short films with my friends in high school, and I was scared to watch it because I knew that watching it would like give me the worst case of nostalgia like ever. And I was like, it's going to break me if I watch it. Okay. It's going to make me wish I was in those days again. And then it's going to doubly make me feel bad that I didn't go to have a film career.
Right. Well, if I just followed the formula that he set forth in The Fabelmans, I too would be Spielberg.
Why did I not just do what Spielberg did?
Right. Weirdly, that's how I kind of felt watching the recent Anaconda remake, which is kind of a silly ass movie, you know? It's a just throw it on to have a good time for 90 minutes or so.
But it is a movie. I didn't watch it, but it is a movie about just a couple of friends throwing together
like a ragtag
to make a movie.
crew.
Yeah.
And their big thing is that they made a Bigfoot movie as kids.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this is so Jake coded when I watched it. And we're starting to get into art town now. You know, Artsyville. Well, I'll start with one that I do like, but I'll admit I still haven't deciphered it fully.
Okay.
Yet. 8.5, the Fellini movie. Like that guy, I forget the actor's name, sorry. That guy, the main character in 8.5, makes Ray-Bans look like the coolest goddamn thing.
I've never seen 8.5. Breaking some film cinephile rules, I guess.
Number one, leave. Number two, you can come back because I need you. I love you. I've seen it like twice, and I'm still kind of like, I don't know what's really going on. It does just feel like very dreamlike and stream of consciousness. But I still adore it, and I still think, maybe I should get the 4K that they came up with, because I only have the measly old Blu-ray on the shelf here.
Maybe the extra pixels will clear it up.
Yeah. Oh no, now it clicked. Yeah. And then another one, Sunset Boulevard. Just because I love Billy Wilder, first of all. And I still think about like, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up at the end, you know. It's just kind of heartbreaking, even though it's, you know, a very stylized, fictionalized version of like a fading starlet.
Right.
I still feel for her, even though she's kind of a monster of her own creation. I still deeply care and go, And the last one, this one is a true and blue like film school classic that I'm like, they're right for worshiping this one. Singing in the Rain. I love Singing in the Rain. Love me some Singing in the Rain. Make 'em laugh.
Is that still Rodgers and Hammerstein territory?
No. I forget the songwriter for this. I know, again, we're just showing that we're losing our film film lovers credo here.
These guys don't deserve to have a movie podcast.
But one thing that I didn't appreciate at the time was this like very extended Gene Kelly sequence where it's pretty wordless and it's all about the dance and the motion. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, this is the most boring stretch of the movie. But now I'm like, that's just Gene Kelly. As pure Gene Kelly, I would never lose that moment now. So I've come to appreciate things about it as I rewatch it, and that's why it's like a really good movie about movies in the like transition from silent film to the talkies, really.
Yeah.
And it's so funny still. It's crazy how good the humor has like survived.
Yeah.
After all this time. What about you? What about your favorite movies about movies?
I mean, there's a lot of them because when I was a kid, I've always been fascinated by movies and like the process of making movies. Mm-hmm. And then when I discovered that there were movies about making movies, I was like, well, hell yeah, sign me up, brother. Yeah. An early one for me that I really love is Bowfinger.
Oh my God, I didn't think about. Yes, I sign off on this. Bowfinger's so good, so funny,
so absolutely funny. It like really shows you the desperation that like independent producers like would go through to like make their movie happen.
Yeah, Steve Martin as like a skeezy producer.
Yeah,
he's the nicest skeezy producer. Yeah. I think he's got that everyman affable charm.
And then Eddie Murphy, of course, as like the A-list star that he like guerrilla film like captures to be in his movie. Fantastic. Love it. Yeah. For Your Consideration. This is a Christopher Guest movie.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a little more about like Oscar season politics and hype than it is about making movies, but like
that's what it's satirizing.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah.
I still love it. Another movie from when I was in high school, Brutal Massacre. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes. You've tried to get me to watch this, and I feel like it's my failing as a friend that I haven't said let's do it. I don't think I've seen it though. What is it about?
Brutal It's so funny. It is. It's like the Fangoria crowd, right? It's like the indie horror version of Bowfinger, I want to say.
Okay. If you pitched this like this to me and I still said no, that's a character failing on my part. I'm so sorry. I want to watch this.
But no, it's about like a John Carpenter type, right?
Okay.
He had a lot of hits in the 80s in the slasher film era. In a lot of ways, it's about how audiences like fell out of love with those movies. And you've got this guy who's still really kind of hanging on to the glory days. And he just wants one more shot at it,
Okay. It's a one last picture.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And just like Bowfinger, they're just kind of scraping it together. And everything goes wrong. And it's filled with cameos of people who were in other horror films
or like
in the past.
That 80s, that same era that he was popular in.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Ken Foree, who was in the original Dawn of the Dead.
Got it. Yeah.
He plays like a grip in the movie.
Okay.
And then Gunnar Hansen, who's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, cool.
Is he plays this guy who he owns a house that they want to film the horror movie in.
Okay.
Our guy who plays Dante in Clerks.
Oh, okay.
Brian O'Halloran, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He's the assistant director. So he's out doing a location scout, and they're like, this house is perfect. And Gunnar Hansen just shows up with a beer, and he's just like, hey, what's up? And they're like, can we use this house? Can we shoot in this house? He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna burn the fucker down next fall. It's so funny. Like it's goofy. Like it's not like a highbrow movie at all, but like it's just a good time.
Okay.
The Fablemans is on the list.
Woo!
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Okay. That is a good one. That is like the big budget, wink, wink, nod, nudge, nudge of like look how ridiculous all this kind of crap
and
is.
and star egos, going at each other, but just super funny. Ed Wood.
Yeah. Okay.
I loved that. It was one of the first movies that kind of showed me that, like, even though you could have like a filmmaker, like an artist who really it was just not respected for his time. There are still people who maybe loved his stuff and are willing to look back on his life. I mean, he had a really interesting life, He was a World War II veteran. Who do you know anything about Edward D. Wood Jr.?
Just from the movie.
Yeah.
And it's built such high expectations in my head that I really haven't sought out the actual movies, because I'm just like, that movie was so good that I don't know if it'll measure up.
They're bad. They're early camp,
Okay.
But he made the movies so earnestly, that you can kind of get the heart that it took to make them.
Gotcha.
Another kind of ragtag kind of thing. I just love movies about
like underdogs.
Like people going out and making movies in the woods with their friends. I've used that phrase a lot, but I love that. That's why I love Evil Dead so much.
Yeah.
It really just takes you an idea, a camera, and just a bunch of people willing to fucking be uncomfortable for a long period of time to help you make your movie. And then the last one, Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's about, a film industry.
Yeah.
For adult.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights is one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Right on. That was a good list.
Yeah. Speaking of meta films about the making of films.
Yeah.
That's the theme of today's episode.
Yeah. So we'll start with The Player, and then we'll move into Adaptation. Those are our 2 movies that we're talking about today. Robert Altman's The Player and Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman's Adaptation. So starting with The Player, though, it's kind of widely known that this is kind of like Altman's comeback movie.
I've read that, yeah.
And he even addressed this in an interview that I was watching with him, where he was pretty frank about, like, yeah, it's like a lot of people, like, if you believe the stories, like, it's my comeback movie. But he's like, he doesn't see it that way. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't been anywhere. They're the ones who have been away. I don't know where they've been, but they haven't been where I was. So he's very much like still standing by, like, I had my like artistic vision this whole time. It's just the audience. I didn't have the audience for it. We never met. He's like, he describes himself and his journey as like a linear path. He's like, I'm just going forward. But the audience is kind of on this kind of axis, like crisscrossing with me. And sometimes when we meet, that's a hit.
Right.
So that's kind of how he describes The Players, that one time where that intersection was just big enough to revitalize his career and get him to do what he really wanted to do, shortcuts right after it.
I can see him calling bullshit on that kind of spin on it.
Yeah. The myth making, really.
Yeah. But that kind of feeds into what the movie itself kind of is about.
Yeah, exactly.
So The Player follows the exploits of a Hollywood executive, Griffin Mill.
Yeah, played by Tim Robbins.
Basically, it positions Tim Robbins' character as kind of this executive on shaky ground,
Right.
as all executives kind of are, right? And they kind of live in this atmosphere of like, if I don't get a hit, I'm fired. Or if I don't backstab everyone I can, or if I don't manipulate or use anyone I can, I'm going to lose my position, right? So it's kind of like you see very early on that these executives are sharks, they're just out looking for the next kill. It's very like Machiavellian,
Yeah. But in a lightish way. There's still like an air of like whimsy
Yeah.
to it, and like still, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge about it all. Like they've got the opening shot that we're going to talk about. Yes, everyone talks about it. But really, even Altman sees the opening shot. He's very proud of it. He's like, we did a great job, like choreographing it and getting everything we wanted out of it. And especially like the framing of it, because it starts with the clapper coming in that says the player on it. And it's like, okay, and action. It's very much announcing itself as a movie.
Yeah.
So this long, unbroken tracking shot is like, this is a shot in a movie.
Yeah.
And we have the characters talking about other movies with other tracking shots in it. It's like this little insider industry speak, like the inside baseball of it all. But then we have actual like screenwriters pitching these somewhat horrible sounding ideas very
Graduate
earnestly.
2?
Yeah. They got the writer for The Graduate to pitch a Graduate 2 and stuff like that.
They're like, Dustin's coming back.
Yeah. So hear this. They got married, right? Now she's in a coma.
And they're all like pitching like either like Bruce Willis or Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
who were huge at the time.
Of its time.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And even Altman says, like, I do that stuff. He's like, I wouldn't make fun of anything that I didn't do myself or wasn't personally familiar with.
Yeah.
So he's like, so I've been there pitching, it's Apocalypse Now meets Pretty Woman or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all the elements in this like very beautiful, very elaborate, purposeful tracking shot that opens this movie about, yes, this bloodthirsty studio executive. But the twist, like the real like thrust of the narrative, is that he's getting these threatening postcards, right?
Yes.
From a writer. And I really love how that end shot ends really with Tim Robbins getting that postcard that says, I hate you, or like, I hope you die, or some shit on it. And then he like looks over his shoulder, like almost at the camera, kind of like acknowledging like, and this is where we break away from acknowledging the movie.
Yeah.
And it just kind of is the movie.
Yeah.
From then on until a moment later on that we'll get to. Did you know that the postcards, they were all Altman's handwriting?
No, I didn't.
It's pretty cool. So now every moment that I see the postcard, I'm thinking like, what was he thinking?
I mean,
like, as he scribbled this madness down.
It's him getting to say those things he's always wanted to say to executives, probably.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, and that's what this movie is, kind of, right? It is a very sharp rebuke, I think, of like the Hollywood class of elites, you know?
Yeah, Altman would say that it's like it's still kind of a soft touch of it, but at the same time that it was so widely celebrated by Hollywood, he was like, even to this day, they still don't quite get it. Mm-hmm. So like,
yeah.
Like, thanks for the praise, but you still kind of are missing the mark by loving it as much as you do, you know?
So the plot gets kicked off. Griffin Mill is two things are happening. One, this other executive is coming into his studio, right?
Larry Levy.
Now he has, Larry Levy. Now he has competition, and he knows that if he slips up even a little bit, his position to potentially take over the studio is on shaky ground.
Right.
And at the same time, he's dealing with these threats that he's getting from presumably a writer that he burned sometime in the past.
Yeah, that he was supposed to call back and didn't.
Yeah. And what's that quote he says? He's like, we get 50,000 submissions every year, and I only get to make 12.
Yeah.
You know?
So his job is to say no to people.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. To kind of like stroke you have to stroke everyone's ego. Mm-hmm. Until they're no use to you, you know,
right?
Because he'll hear pitches until he knows that he can't, position it in a way that will help him personally. But he has an idea of which writer, of who's sending these threatening postcards to him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Vincent D'Onofrio character, David Kahane.
Uh-huh.
And so he's like, okay, I got to go nip this in the bud. I'm going to go meet him down in Pasadena. It leads to this kind of like interesting scene about voyeurism, really, where, because his first lead is like, well, he can't find him, but he's calling his house. So he kind of shows up at his house and he's calling, but this woman, June Gutman's daughter, answers instead, and it's like David's girlfriend at the time. And she's like this artist, like this live-in artist who's like art is displayed all over their house. It's very like blue. It's very cold. I think they even call her like the Ice Queen.
David Kahane calls her the Ice. He's like, oh, so you talk to the Ice Queen.
Yeah, which is kind of a pun on like the Icelandic nature of her character too. But like visually, her place is very blue, and she's kind of distant, and she's actually distant in this scene with Griffin where he's on the phone with her, just like walking around the house, like looking through these windows as she kind of is peering out at him. So like acknowledging that she's being watched and scrutinized in this way. And that kind of just plays into how Altman likes to shoot through things a lot, never as directly. But then through that conversation, we learn that he's out at a nearby theater watching The Bicycle Thief. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's extremely important for this movie because it is the type of movie that these kind of high executives would like to be like, oh yeah, it's a great movie. We'd never make it though. Yeah. It's just such a contradiction to like, be like, oh, I love all these movies, but that won't sell. And it's like, they're missing the point. So vastly missing the point of like why people love The Bicycle Thief. Yeah. And it's not because it sold well. It's because it says something. And that's like what David Kahane really is like trying to convey in that scene, which how does that scene go out? When
he goes to kind of meet him at the screening of The Bicycle Thief. Well, at first he walks in to the movie theater and almost trips over Kahane's feet. Yeah, you know, which I think is again, it's another kind of subtle nod at like this executive he's in a church and he doesn't know the proper way,
the customs.
Yes. This is not he is a man who doesn't go see the movies for fun. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's what I kind of pulled from that. And Kahane even like mentions it later. He's like, "You nearly tripped over my feet coming in." You know. But basically, he's there to, in an attempt to get the threatening postcards to stop. He's there to kind of tell him, like, look, you know, I'll hear your pitch again. Basically, right. I can't promise that we'll get it made, but I'll greenlight it and we'll see what we can do. Yeah. And Kahane, essentially is like, go fuck yourself, you know. I don't believe you. I know that this is just your attempt to somehow do some studio machinations because I know Larry Levy's coming in and you're on thin fucking ice, dude.
Yeah, he's like, you're just trying to save face. I know more about what's going on than you do, Mr. Executive. Yeah, for sure.
And so it's kind of Kahane's way of getting back at him for kind of icing him out. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. Yeah. I'm gonna watch you lose your job.
Yeah. I like that little pantomime like teasing thing that he does where he like reaches for his phone in his pocket and just be like, oh yeah, Larry? Yeah, I just had a talk with Griffin, you know, that guy whose job you're replacing. And Griffin's just watching him like, no, don't.
Yeah.
He's very much caught up in that.
In that moment, he is no longer the high powered executive. He's running on pure fear, right? And the kind of facade drops. Yeah. Things get physical, and I think Kahane gets pushed over like a railing, you know.
First, it's Griffin, actually. Yeah. Griffin tries to like push his like door closed as Kahane's like, he insults him really. He's like, I'm a writer. I can write. What can you do? Yeah, exactly. And he's like, that's the final word really. So he's getting in his car and yeah, Griffin's trying to like close the door and David's like, what the hell? And he like kind of shoves him and he goes and falls down into this like little I don't know.
Like a loading dock area.
Loading dock. Yeah.
That's been filled with rainwater.
Yeah. But then David being like somewhat sympathetic, like immediately regrets it.
Yeah.
And goes down there to be like, hey man, I'm sorry. I did not mean to like, it's like, I talk a big talk really, but it's just because you're such an asshole and you didn't call me back when you said you were going to call me back. But then the fight continues and Griffin like thrashes him about. They hit a couple walls for a second. And then David like goes like face first into like this puddle down there, but he's still breathing. We see like the bubbles come up and he's like a little woozy. And then Griffin just like pushes his face into the water and essentially drowns him.
Yeah.
Right then and there. And then also instantly regrets it, but then does the thing of like staging it so it looks like it's like just a random mugging.
Yeah.
To kind of clear his name and wash his hands of the situation.
One thing that I really love is like almost immediately after that, right? So it was like the day after he's killed and tried to cover up this the murder of David Kahane. He's late to work for like a pitch meeting or something like that. And Larry Levy is there and he makes his big grand kind of gesture about like, what are we paying these writers for?
Yeah.
We could just look in the newspaper and pick a story out of the newspaper. Yeah. Boom. That's a movie.
He's like $1 million and $1.5 million for these scripts. Oh, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. What are we doing here? You know? And he's essentially talking about cutting writers out of the system, cutting the middleman out, right?
Yeah. Viewing writers as the middleman to this business.
And an impediment to making even more money for the studio.
Yeah.
And then Griffin Mill kind of and this is one of the things that makes him, he is a cutthroat, right?
Yeah, Griffin. Yeah.
But somehow through Tim Robbins' performance, you're kind of with him. You're kind of on his side.
Yeah. That's what Altman said. He thought of him, met him, and he's like, no, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You can do both things. He has that duality of being a cutthroat piece of shit who like cares about having the newest suit. He's always got a different tie and a different shirt in like almost every scene too. So he's very materialistic. He's very cutthroat. He's very much thinking about number one, but he still like makes a point every now and then.
He still is charming in a way. And you know, if you're not a piece of shit and you feel good about him kind of in that scene standing up for the writer, you know, then you like him. And that's what kind of like gets you on a side again without realizing the irony that like this Larry Levy guy's talking about basically killing writers as a profession.
And somehow the studio head is charmed by him.
Yeah. Because he makes a good kind of presentation.
Yeah.
But then the irony that Griffin Mill just literally murdered a writer.
Yeah.
You know?
I think he said, what does he say? I was just thinking about what an interesting concept it is to eliminate the writer from the process, from the artistic process. If we can just get rid of those actors and directors, maybe we've got something here.
Yeah.
You know, he's being such a smarmy little prick about it, but he's right. That's how that line of thinking, if we carry Larry Levy's like ethos of, let's just cut out the writer, it'll save us millions.
Yeah.
That's going to lead to further thinking of like, well, who else should we cut out of to further increase our profits? Which is a very like Altman-ass thing about like skewering the greed of America. Yeah. Really, of like the prior decade. Because this is like the beginning of the 90s. Yeah. And we just had the 80s, which was like, greed is good, right? Yeah. Wall Street, greed is good.
I would love to know what, you know, if Altman were still alive, what he would have to say about, you know, generative AI now, right? Because whereas that line from Griffin Mill, like, why don't we just cut out the writers and directors too, right? That was a ridiculous line, you know? Yeah. You like that, that couldn't happen. Not with the way that Hollywood was built. That's not how the industry works, and just not visible. And why would you do that? Right. Right. Flash forward 30 years though. And now you have tech companies who are basically like, let's erase the whole industry. That way we control the mechanisms of creation, right. And eliminate the whole process really, because, you know, what value does that add?
There's a big conversation about the way audience perception, or like test screenings, and so audience perceptions of the movie shape how the eventual like final cut gets made. And to transpose that into how things work now, like what you were saying, big tech, it's kind of like algorithm based, or people will tune out after 15 minutes if yada yada doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. And that's such a creatively bankrupt way to run a creative business. Like it's still a business, but it's a creative business. Don't forget that there's another word before that, and it's creative.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, they would even, I think the future that these big tech folks want is to be able to enable the audience to create their own movies in an instant.
Yeah.
Right. Which is like that sounds, you know, very kind of democratic in a way. Right.
Right.
But like, who's learning anything if you're only making films that like confirm your own biases, you know, and they don't confront you with anything new,
right.
You know, you're not learning anything. You're not growing emotionally by experiencing the catharsis on a screen. So like, yeah, it really is interesting to see the beginnings of that kind of way of thinking. Like the audience is king. It's like, no, the audience sometimes needs to see some shit. The audience sometimes needs to watch Singing in the Rain and not get that dancing scene. But maybe after a couple of times, they'll start to think about it and get something from it.
They'll be like, you know what? That was very athletic.
Yeah.
And that was a big collaborative effort with a lot of people. Have you ever tried to collaborate with someone? It's fucking difficult.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let alone hundreds of people or like thousands of people for like these big like war epics, you know, that kind of stuff. But speaking of the audience, right? I read this this article about the player, and it's called "The Enemy is the Audience." Is the name of the article. And it says, The Player is remembered as Hollywood satire, a film about filmmaking, and its meaning is relayed through its form as much as its content. And it's so telling that like the end of this movie, after we've seen these scenes of like someone pitching a movie being like, guess what? The next big thing that's going to, the habeas corpus, right? This habeas corpus, it's going to be this real life movie. No stars,
None
names.
of that Hollywood shit.
None of that Hollywood shit.
I love Richard E. Grant
Yes.
as the director, and then Dean Stockwell. They like corner
Is a
Griffin
hype
Mill.
man. Yeah.
And they give that pitch and
Yeah. Of like, okay, raindrops falling. The light, the candle under an umbrella. It's like those Chinese, those lanterns, those Asian lanterns.
Yes.
Griffin Mill. Yeah, that is new. I've never seen anything like that. Go on.
Yeah.
And then he's like, the car comes to a screeching halt. They lock eyes. And then Griffin's like, oh, that's the DA. And then like the suspect's wife.
Because he's heard
or something like
this pitch a million times. He's heard it at least 50,000 times this year.
But in the moment, it's not like interpreted as that, right? Dean Stockwell is like, see, he's good. See, I told you he's good.
Got it. It reads, doesn't it?
Right. It's like, it's new, right? Even though he just said it's a formula, really. It's very generic here. But then by the end of the movie, we actually see what is going to be the ending of that movie, and it's all stars. It's Julia Roberts in the gas chamber as the pellets drop, you know?
And then Bruce Willis comes in and saves her at the end.
Yeah. Just grabs a shotgun out of, and by the way, this is true, Dennis Franz's hands. I was watching some special features and I was like, oh my God, a Dennis Franz we missed. PhantasmaCast is a show that appreciates any and all Dennis Franz appearances. So we have to mention Dennis Franz when we see him. But he's in the movie for like a blink. Yeah. Really, the camera pans over very briefly to see him go, hey, what you doing? when Bruce Willis grabs his shotgun. So yeah, Bruce Willis shoots the glass, goes in there, gets Julia Roberts out, and he's holding her as they like walk away. And she's like, what took you so long? And then he says,
traffic was a bitch.
Credits, you know, and everyone in the theater is applauding, or all the executives are applauding. And then this character we haven't mentioned yet, Bonnie.
Yeah.
which was like Griffin's like love interest, really. And that is a very reductive way to describe her role, because really she's the smart one. She's
another
one.
executive at the studio.
Yeah. She's like the most human one. Mm-hmm. Like trying to remind Griffin that there are such things as morals, really, and not just pure ambition, really. And so she's the one that speaks up and is like, what happened to no stars? What happened to truth? Like, doesn't that matter? Mm-hmm. And then Richard E. Grant is like, tell that to the test audience in Canoga Park or something like Canoga Park. And so that is another like Altman taking a jab at like something that he's definitely had experience with, which is redoing the ending based on test audience feedback. Yeah. Which still happens from day to day. And I really question how they select these test audiences, because I feel like I would make a really good one, God damn it, and I never get the call. So actually, you know what? This is me putting out the call right now. I want to be part of some test audiences because I've got things to say, and I actually watch movies. I don't just vaguely hear about them and go, you know what, the ending should be this, even though I don't really watch movies.
But even that whole kind of B plot of habeas corpus, right? As it was pitched to Griffin Mill, he immediately knew that it was going to be a stinker.
Yeah, that's the joke, is that he's going to
he foists it onto Larry Levy. He pitches it to Larry Levy because he wants him to like take it and run with it.
Yeah,
and watch him fail.
You know who's going to believe this fucking stinker?
Yeah,
Larry Levy. Let's see how he takes it.
And then he knows that he'll come in at the end and suggest the new happy ending, you know, and he'll get the credit for that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just a very pessimistic, I think, way to operate, you know.
Yeah. You know what's actually really funny? What's really meta about this whole meta movie about removing the writer and like a studio exec, kind of like the inside baseball movie stuff, is the writer, Michael Tolkien, was very involved in this. He adapted his own book. But he worked very closely with Altman on this. So it wasn't just like, toss the script out and improvise everything. There was like planned improvisation throughout the whole movie. But one thing was the ending. The book ending was the postcard harasser like sent Griffin like an envelope with some cash for like some damages that he did, and like had like a sincere like apology to it. I'm sure there's more to the ending, but that's kind of all the Michael Tolkien revealed about the ending. And he, at the same time in this interview, he's like, I don't remember who came up with the new ending. Cut to Tim Robbins. And he's like, okay, so we're in Robert Altman's office and we're trying to figure out the ending. And I just thought of the ending of MASH. And the ending of MASH, the movie, is like someone announcing the cast list and being like, you just watched Robert Altman's MASH. Here's the cast list of, Elliot Gould, blah, blah, blah. So it's very calling attention to itself. And he goes, what if the writer pitches the events that we just witnessed to Griffin? And he says Altman just goes, slaps his leg, stands up, opens the door to his office and goes, we've got the ending. And he closes the door, comes back in. He's like, and I'm not going to give you credit for it, by the way.
Fantastic.
Tim Robbins laughs it off and he says, he later did.
Yeah.
But that's kind of wild that in the movie itself, Griffin is going to come in and pitch this dog shit happy ending. Mm-hmm. And then we get that meta call of being like, hey, like I've been the one that's like writing you, basically like, I've moved on to something else now. I'm a screenwriter and I got a pitch that I think you'll like to hear about a studio exec who's going to get away with murdering a writer. What do you think about that? And he's like, does it have a happy ending?
It's like, as long as you can guarantee the happy ending, you got a movie.
Yeah.
And
then we pull up and June Goodman's daughter is pregnant now.
Yeah.
Like they're in a relationship.
A very idyllic scene of their house together. And she's almost just like Stepford wife.
Yeah. Hi, honey.
Yeah. She's no longer the ice queen,
Yeah. Might as well be holding like a pot roast in her hand as she like walks down.
Yeah.
And greets him as he gets out of his car. And she's like, what took you so long? And he says,
Traffic was a bitch.
Boom. Credits. And I'm like, God damn, this movie's fucking brilliant. I love that. That it got us this Hollywood ending, this bullshit, unearned Hollywood ending, but it feels so earned because of how like satirical it is. Like we just watched could have been like an original movie with a downer ending. You see it get corrupted by like the business side of things, or even just, you know, the regular audience being like, yeah, I don't know if I want that. And it's like, they know what they think they want, really. But sometimes you have to risk it and give them something that maybe they didn't want. If
you ask someone for their opinion, if you solicit an opinion, you'll get one.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy of like, if the studio doesn't believe in it, they're going to find reasons to change it.
Right.
To appease their own fucking egos. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Like, I find it very hard to believe that there is any real math involved.
Right.
In any of this.
It's luck, really.
Yeah.
It's talent. Talent is a must, but it's also a lot of luck. It's really kind of how Altman described it. There's that trajectory of time, and the audience is just kind of this pendulum, and sometimes the zeitgeist aligns with a creator's vision.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. Well, it's okay, like, in the big picture, like, as someone who enjoys movies, like, sometimes it's going to be a stinker. That's okay. Go at it again. And maybe we'll align. Yeah,
but you know, it's like take like a Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
do I have to? I love the Fast and Furious movies. I just don't like that movie.
But here's what I'm saying. It's like sure. You're going to put together fucking The Rock and Kevin Hart, and you're going to market the hell out of the movie and go, look, it's doofus number 1 and doofus number 2. Yeah. Don't you love these two doofuses? Oh, big car, fast car crashing. It's going to be a great action movie.
But
you're probably going to make tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Cool. But no one is going to the theater to watch Hobbs and Shaw 40 years after it came out.
I think, 40 years will be like that little oddity.
Yeah.
Really. It's The Rock and Jason Statham. But have you seen it?
No.
Kevin Hart is in the movie at some point. And I think that was like the thing where I was like, fuck this. Actually, fuck this.
It worked against them.
Yeah.
You're in the test audience and you're like, get Kevin Hart out of this fucking movie.
Yeah, I'm like, I know at some point you screened this and someone said, is there any way we can get Kevin Hart? I think he's just the most funny. He's the most funny little guy. And you said, all right, yeah, we'll shoehorn him in because he is kind of shoehorned in. He's like a passenger on a plane.
So see, this is how little I knew about that movie because I thought Kevin Hart was
Hobbs or Shaw.
Is there?
Oh, I'm getting lightheaded.
Is there another movie where they're the headline character? What is it?
Central Intelligence.
Okay, see, I thought Hobbs and Shaw was Central. I'm not the ideal
test fucking audience. Might as well be, dude.
I mean, come on.
Any final thoughts on the Player before we move on to adaptation?
I love how, and we'll talk about this more with adaptation, but I love how it like it's a true meta film. The movie goes through a lot of links to show you that it is a movie, but you know, I don't think Altman can really get away from his signature style, which is creating a tapestry of a time and place, right?
Right. That's just the way he operates.
Yeah. And it's multi-layered, not just thematically, but physically. You have the sort of overlapping audio takes from different conversations that are happening. Right. And like Hollywood just as a setting for an Altman film is fantastic, right? Because take what he did with Nashville and how it just kind of feels like a movie that's just kind of drifting from conversation to conversation, and it's just kind of saying, here is this time and place, and we are just kind of taking a tour through it, right?
Yeah.
Less so in The Player, but he still does it, I think,
I agree.
to reaffirm the kind of atmosphere that he is trying to display about Hollywood, right? You've got people having conversations about, what movie are we thinking about getting into? You've got there's that one scene where who was the actor who was sitting at the table?
Burt Reynolds?
Yes,
Okay.
Burt Reynolds. Griffin Mill comes to that, fancy restaurant, and he does like a quick hello.
Hey, how the hell are you?
Yeah. As he walks away, Burt Reynolds just goes, fucking asshole. But we stay on that conversation that Burt Reynolds was having with presumably his manager or whoever, right? And we can see the beginning of the conversation Griffin Mill's going to have with his boss in the
studio
background.
head. Yeah.
Yes. The use of real stars to do those cameos. You've got Malcolm McDowell. When he goes to that restaurant to meet his stalker. The first person he bumps into is Malcolm McDowell, right? And he tries to turn on the how the hell are you? And then Malcolm McDowell just goes, next time you want to talk shit about me, have the courage to do it to my face, and just fucking leaves.
Yeah. God, Malcolm McDowell's such a king. It's awesome.
It's firmly planted in the setting in which it takes place.
Yeah.
While also satirizing and heightening the absurdity of the situation.
Right.
I don't know, it's multi-layered and textured and just fantastic.
It's got the sauce.
Yeah.
It really does. So even though people the reception at the time was Altman's back. Again, he really never went anywhere.
Yeah.
He just kind of made something you wanted that you didn't know you wanted, was a little light ribbon, a little poking fun at you.
Yeah.
To get the funding for what he really wanted to do, which was Shortcuts. But speaking of movies that kind of exist as themselves, but play with the meta-ness of it all, weirdly, Adaptation also fits into this mold a whole decade later, really, in 2002. So this is Charlie Kaufman trying to adapt The Orchid Thief. And we know that because that's what the movie is about.
Yeah.
It is not a straight adaptation of it. It is a movie about the process of adapting that.
About the real process of Charlie Kaufman trying to adapt The Orchid Thief.
Right. Through these characters playing themselves or versions of themselves.
So background, they're in the middle of making Being John Malkovich, another Spike Jonze, Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah. This is how it opens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in real life, they're in the middle of making Being John Malkovich. Charlie's writing, or he's trying and failing to adapt The Orchid Thief. And he comes up with the idea to make the adaptation about his failed attempts to adapt the novel. If it sounds confusing, folks, it's because it is.
Yeah. But it's a perfect conflict because he's failing over and over, and that kind of is a good formula for a movie of someone failing over and over until they don't.
Right. He kind of saw how that was a more filmable story than The Orchid Thief.
Yeah.
So the movie itself opens. He's on the set of Being John Malkovich, and you've got that which is now kind of a viral clip that I think people think is John Malkovich being kind of a diva on set. But it's part of this movie where he's like, now listen, everyone.
all these John Malkovich heads turn towards him. Yeah.
We're going to do it fast and we're going to do it easy because all of these people, these masks are hot. Okay. So let's get it in and let's get it right. And then Charlie Kaufman is just off to the side looking utterly bewildered, which is like,
He's like, what have I done? Why am I here?
Yeah. Which is what I think is like how a lot of writers must feel in Hollywood is like once the script is sold, they kind of are just like, they're just useless. They're vestigial at that point. And so the movie really follows his continued attempts at like adapting this story, but he can't, right? But at the same time, like sort of as he's reading the book, we are also watching not only the book, but the screenplay that Charlie is writing.
What that adaptation could look like.
Yes.
And by being what it could look like, it is adapting.
Yes. And so it follows this author, Susan Orlean.
Yeah. Played by Meryl Streep. Who is this, successful writer going down to do a story about this guy, LaRoche. Played by who? Chris Cooper.
He kind of just comes off as this like kind of hick who is going into the swamps to try and find this rare orchid,
Right.
She is kind of immediately, I don't know, like struck by him as a person.
Yeah, she's like simultaneously struck by him, as you said, but also like puzzled by him. You would think he's kind of easy to pin down as like this eccentric hick, really. But there is a depth to him, and she senses that, but she isn't quite sure what her way in to that is. It's really her trying to like crack the story. Like, what's the story here?
Yes.
As he's being like, what's the story here? He, with Charlie, who's played by Nicolas Cage, by the way, he's read the book. He likes it. And he's like, I just kind of want to make a movie about flowers, but I don't know how to do that. Yeah. I don't know if it can be done, but I want to be original, but I want to honor the source material, but the source material is unadaptable. And it's just kind of like this rambling, like struggle with himself of wanting to be creative, but can't find the in. So he's like, should I give in? Should I sacrifice my morals of originality to convention?
And the whole time that temptation is there because his twin brother Donald has moved in with him, and Donald doesn't have those hangups that Charlie has.
Right.
He's not socially anxious. He's not self-doubting. He's kind of an idiot.
Yeah. But like a lovable idiot.
Yeah.
Like
an earnest too.
Idiot. Yeah.
And so meanwhile, Charlie is having these issues trying to make this brilliant screenplay. Donald goes to these like workshops and learns like structure, and is just like, hey, have you thought about like just doing it this way? And Charlie just kind of, he hates any kind of idea of convention.
Yeah. It's like writing is not just one thing. It is about discovering. It is about a journey into the unknown.
Yeah.
So you can't have rules for the unknown. He's like,
you're capturing Nicolas Cage very well.
And then Donald is just like, well, Robert doesn't see them as rules, really. He sees them as principles. So are you envisioning like a version where I play both of them? I would love that.
And then the irony is that Donald does become successful leaning into those conventions. Right. He, as Charlie is experiencing this extreme writer's block, Donald is just like, so I have this idea for a movie. It's called The Three. And it's about like a killer, a victim, and a cop. But here's the twist. They're all the same person. And Charlie's just kind of poking holes like the whole time, right? And kind of really overthinking it.
But then also being meta about it. He's like, how does one guy talk to himself the whole time?
Yes. Yeah. And he has his internal monologue is going the whole movie. And what I love about that is like even his internal monologue is timid and like self-doubting.
Oh yeah.
You know? Yeah. I love that sequence where he's sitting down and he's trying to write, right? But he's like, all right, we gotta write now. Maybe I should get some coffee. Some coffee would help me think, you know. Oh, maybe a bagel. No. I'll write something and then have a bagel. And that'll be my reward.
Or maybe a muffin.
Yes,
Yeah.
maybe a muffin.
How should I start this? Banana nut bread. That's a good muffin. Yes. Which is like, that's real.
Yeah,
that's
what
real.
That's what everyone who faces the fucking terror of a blank page is thinking.
Going back to Donald real quick, what I see Donald as, and I think it's pretty obvious, but his purpose is to be like that side of Charlie that doesn't give a shit about all these hangups, who doesn't have all these hangups, who
can talk to women.
Yeah, who can talk to women, who is charming, who's like the life of the party, really, and just kind of like stumbles his way into success. He's like, man, wouldn't it be so easy if I was just like that?
Yes.
You know? But then he's an aloof, lovable dumbass who says things like, so then there's this scene where the cop is getting away on motorcycle and being chased by the killer on horse. So, you know, I really see it as a conflict between motorcycle and horse, machine and horse. He's
at the end of he's who Charlie kind of wishes he could be. And he does sell that screenplay for like 6 figures, you know?
Yeah. And then Charlie breaks down, and I think in a really good moment of like another acting titan of Brian Cox as Robert McKee, he goes to see the screenwriting guru who he's been poo-pooing the whole time.
This is one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. So tell our audience how that all shakes out.
So like Brian Cox is giving this like very like save the cat like workshop.
Boilerplate workshop.
And if you have attempted to write a screenplay at all, Save the Cat is kind of like the very kind of biblical, like, here is screenplay structure 101, you know?
Yeah.
Just here's all the conventions to like make a sellable script. And this is what Brian Cox's character is going through. And Charlie the whole time is just bewildered because all of his advice is antithetical to how Charlie thinks writing should be as a process.
Right.
And then Charlie raises his hand and he's just like, okay, so what if your movie just really doesn't have a lot of stuff going on and nothing really happens, just kind of like real life? And Brian Cox responds with such open hostility. Venom. He's like, how fucking dare you? Real life? Open a newspaper again. Another reference to newspapers. Open a newspaper and every day there's a murder. A man kills his best friend for a woman.
Someone reconnects with a lost loved one. There's drama there. There's a story there. It's like, fuck you, basically.
So why would you waste my precious 1.5 hours with your fucking movie?
Nicolas Cage is like, thank you.
Which I love because it's such a, like, Brian Cox in that moment is Hollywood, you know, is Hollywood's almost violent rejection of anything unconventional, you know, while being in a movie that is so utterly unconventional.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't think there's another movie like it, really.
No, I would say ironically, but very purposefully, after this moment where he gets like, fucking publicly shamed by Brian Cox. He meets him outside the theater to be like, okay, like, I'm desperate. I normally wouldn't do this, but I need to talk to you. Like, will you sit down with me to talk to me? He's like, what the hell? He's like, remind me who you are. He's like, haven't I seen you before? He's like, oh, my brother Donald. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. They have like this conversation about The Orchid Thief, really, about like how there's no story there. And he's like, I don't want to do convention. I want to talk about like existence, really. I want to talk about flowers, and I want to do something that hasn't been done before. And I think what ends up happening is Brian Cox is like, that's very noble. But you should do what works. like I get it. And I think he says something about like, go watch Casablanca or something like that. Greatest screenplay ever made. Mm-hmm. And then after that, the convention starts becoming real. He starts talking to Donald more. He's like, Donald, I need your help. He's doing something. Charlie is doing something he hasn't done before, is actually ask other people for help, for some advice on this, instead of just shooing them away and doing nothing, being so inactive as to fail in like an embarrassing way of like not doing anything instead of doing something that doesn't work. He's just not doing anything at this moment. So he's like, Donald, please help me. He's like, you got to meet this woman, Susan. Like, if you want there to be like this truth to it, meet her. Like, see what you can get from her. And that's quite an insightful thing from this doofus, who we learn like from that point on that sure, he might not know a lot about movies. He doesn't know how to say denouement. You know, he's like, I love the denouement. He's like, I loved Dress to Kill, except for that third act denouement. He's like, that's not how you say it. But he notices a lot more than he lets on. And then we really get like these conventions that Charlie said in the very beginning with that meeting with Tilda Swinton. He's like, I don't want it to be this heist movie. I don't want there to be guns and violence and a car chase and like, a character overcoming all odds to like learn something. Guess what? That's exactly what happens.
In the narrative of the screenplay up to this point, Susan Orlean and LaRoche, they've kind of gone out into the swamps to find an orchid. And
the ghost orchid, I think.
We're kind of unsuccessful, and she is kind of like where she was almost really like enamored by him or close to being. She's now a little turned off by him because he's gotten them lost in the woods, and now she's like, oh, he actually may be kind of full of shit.
Yeah, maybe this like I romanticized him a little bit too much.
Yes,
of like wanting. She said, "I want to know what it feels like to care about something passionately." Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that moment, she's like, "Okay, this guy's fucking dangerous," and he led me out into the swamp, and now we're lost, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, that's how the book ends. And he's like, "We can't do that."
Yeah,
that's anticlimactic. That's not a movie. Mm-hmm. And he's right. That's not a movie,
right?
Really,
right. And so, like, there could be closure in a book, or at least kind of like emotional closure.
Yeah, that works in the literary sense.
Yes. So now when he goes out to meet her, or when Donald goes out to meet her, he starts asking her these questions about her relationship with LaRoche, and she's like, did you keep in contact with him? And she says no. And then when Donald comes back, he's just like, she's lying.
Yeah. And do you remember how he knew she was lying?
How?
He's like, I asked her who she'd have dinner with, alive or dead. And she said, Jesus and Einstein. Like, she's a liar. Everyone says Jesus and Einstein. That was a prepackaged answer. And
so this discovery that she's not being truthful leads them into kind of the third act.
Yeah, that's intrigue.
Yes,
that's drama. That's something he's made up. It's something he didn't want to do. Charlie didn't want to do as the writer adapting this. And
this is where kind of the narrative of the movie we're watching converges with the narrative of the screenplay that Charlie's writing, and it becomes one.
Yeah.
Which is purely fictionalized. This isn't what was in Susan Orlean's book. But her as a character, she immediately flies down to Florida to go see LaRoche again. And it's revealed that they've been having an affair.
Yeah.
And that she has been kind of taking the orchid as a drug.
Yeah, this little powder that she sniffs up.
When LaRoche and Orlean find out that that they're being spied on by Charlie. They kind of take him hostage, and LaRoche is like, well, what do we do with him? And she's just like, we got to kill him.
Yeah.
And so they take him out to the swamp presumably to kill him. As they put him in the trunk or whatever, they pull him out. He sees that Donald has like hidden himself.
Yeah, he's in the back.
And they have this big, like what you said, they have this big chase through the swamp with guns, and LaRoche eventually gets, attacked by an alligator, and there's a chase sequence, and the car crashes, and Donald flies through the windshield, and then Donald dies, and Susan gets arrested, and Charlie calls his mom to tell her Donald has died, and but then, like, almost unexpectedly, the movie ends on this high note where Charlie did finish the screenplay, and it's being celebrated. And doesn't he eventually end up with that girl?
Kind of, sort of. And we really neglected this in our recounting of it so far. Over the course of this movie, he's trying to have this relationship with his violinist, Amelia. And it's kind of all these like false starts that keep happening. And they're at like a party one time. They have a little moment together where they're kind of like, what are we doing here? And there should be a kiss. There's a moment where there should be a kiss, and he knows it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. But
Drops
like,
the ball.
They're like, well, okay, I'll see you next time. Whatever. Yeah. And then there's another near miss where he's dropping her off one night after they've just had a good time. They're kind of dressed up. And he's like, woe is me about the screenplay still. And still drops the ball yet again when she clearly is like digging him for some reason, even though he's
for some
reason, despite all the reasons he lists of like, I'm balding. No, I'm not fooling anybody with this haircut. I'm a fat piece of shit. I should go change my life. Yeah. So even though that's like clearly exuding from him, she's like, I still see something in this guy.
Yeah.
He drops the ball. And then we get through voiceover. He's like, I should have kissed her. I should go out right now, knock on her door, like sweep her off her feet. That would be romantic. That's a very like movie.
Yeah.
That's a very conventional idea that he has there, but he doesn't do it.
Shrinks back again.
And he drives off. And then we get to the end, and she's in a relationship with someone else because we've seen her arrive at a party with him. So that's how we know that. But, she still agreed to meet him and go, congratulations, you got the script done. And just during their natural conversation, what does he do? He kisses her. Doesn't think about it. Well, he thinks about it. He doesn't like force himself on her. But it just felt like the moment, the window was there.
Yeah.
He does it. And she's like, oh, Charlie, like, I can't do this. I'm in a relationship now. And he's like, oh yeah, I understand. Like, he's like, this is something I should have done. But it's a very big emotional payoff. It's Charlie's arc of like, he learns something over the course of the movie to do something instead of like wallow in his inaction. Mm-hmm. He took action. That's great. That should be celebrated.
Which is a very conventional screenplay thing to do. Uh-huh. The main character should have growth, and they should be a new person by the end of the movie.
And we get a little glimmer of hope because he's like, I love you. And she like walks away, has to think about it for a second. She's like, I love you too. Kind of thing. But it's complicated. Yeah, it ends on it's complicated. Life is complicated. That is such a strange journey for this movie that's about creativity, about the process of creation, about
structure.
About an artist doing something with another artist, another writer's work, trying to respect the source material, but have like this kind of like self-respect in the same process. So it's a very complex movie, but it's still very funny. Yeah. It's very meta in the way that the player is. It's also very funny too. And I think that's why they make a great double feature.
So, as I was watching the movie, I was really curious about what Susan Orlean's response to the movie would be.
Right.
Because like, this is a real book that she wrote.
Right.
And ostensibly it's her, like Meryl Streep is her, the writer, and the movie ends with her like cheating on her husband becoming a drug addict and killing
and like crying in the swamp over this like kind of like backwoods hick guy.
Yes.
Really.
And so when they were writing the script, they obviously needed her sign off, right? Because this is adapting her fucking book. And she immediately was like, of course not. Like, this will ruin my career. What are you thinking?
Right.
But like, I think eventually she was convinced, like, it was good. And when she read it, she was like, this is actually kind of brilliant, you know?
It was her little singing in the rain moment.
Yeah.
Cut that out.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, hold on. He cooked.
Actually. And then she said, you know, as she's seen the movie, she's actually grown to love it, actually.
That's nice.
Her direct quote is, what I admire the most is that it's very true to the book's themes of life and obsession. And there are also insights into things which are much more subtle in the book about longing and about disappointment. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, yeah, like there is a lot of this, because on one level, it's Charlie's longing to, you know, to like belong and be a sort of gregarious person, to be someone who can just kind of let go of these hangups he has and just kind of really like enjoy life, you know? And then the characters of Orlean and LaRoche also, you know, or Susan Orlean's character in this is kind of bored with her, you know, high powered, you know, writing career.
Yeah. Or like that New York socialite thing.
Yeah.
Like that whole conversation around the dinner table and about how they're like, hey, can we like kind of talk shit about him?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, you go do that. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And you can hear them talking shit about LaRoche. And she just feels so like
dirty about
that. Yeah. She's like, fuck, is that what came across?
Yeah. And she's clearly not into her relationship with her husband anymore, you know? So she's dealing with this kind of crossroads in life. And there's a quote that she says when LaRoche is talking about orchids and about how adaptable they are.
Yeah.
You know, she says, yeah, but it's easier for plants. With a person, though, adapting is almost shameful. It's like running away. Which is so telling about who her character in this narrative sense is. And then LaRoche himself is a character who is so disappointed with how his life has turned out.
Yeah.
He lost his mom and his uncle in a car accident that he probably caused.
Almost his wife,
who was put into a coma, and she divorced him as soon as she woke up.
Yeah, that's devastating. Man.
While his wife was in a coma, a hurricane came, destroyed his nursery, destroyed his livelihood. And, you know, he's kind of this guy who like wears his failures as a sort of shield, you know, and pretends to, like, he fronts as like this like genius and this know-it-all. But it's really, he's operating from a very self-conscious, I think, position.
Very defensive.
Yeah. He's got this like persecuted genius complex about him, and
I'm the smartest guy I know.
Yeah. He lost his teeth in the car accident. You know,
doesn't fix him.
It's I think a thing to throw people off his scent a little bit, you know, to disarm people and make them think that, yeah, I am just this hick. So we're just dealing with these very like damaged
and complex
people.
Yes. Too.
Yes.
Right.
And you know, I like, that's kind of the point of where the original book left off, is like, it doesn't get tied up in this neat little bow.
They never saw the ghost orchid.
Mm-hmm. But then the movie sensationalizes it and dramatizes it and makes it this unreal thing.
Yeah. It gives us the test audience feedback in real time. Yeah. It's like, here's that ending that the test audience will want, but we'll come back to a more grounded, like real thing that does happen in real life is those moments where you know you should have taken action and you didn't. So take action now, even if it's even if it's not the right time, you know, at least you took the action and you can learn from that failure, because you have to do things in order to fail, in order to learn from them. If you don't do them, what's there to learn?
Right. So anyways,
here's my number. Call me back. We'll do Tuesdays work for you?
Adaptation, Spike Jonze, and the player Robert Altman, two just so good, like meta movies about making movies. Go watch them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Meta movies that aren't like huge spectacles in and of themselves, that do play with complex human things. That they're there. They are there, and that's why we're talking about them all these years later. Because if they were just the spectacle, who knows? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But they took that chance, and that's what matters.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye now.